What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to take the 68 teams that are in the NCAA tournament this year and rank them from 1 to 68 based on how likely I think it is that they can win the national championship this year. Now, there are only 9 teams that I believe have a decent shot at winning the championship. So my top 9 teams are my legit contenders, and the rest are just my opinion on these rankings. If you think a team should be higher or lower, let me know down below in the comment section, but without further ado, let's get it started. So, coming in here at number 68, I think the worst team in the NCAA tournament and the least likely chance to win it all is Grambling State. They are in the play-in game at the 16 line. If they do beat Montana State, they will have a shot at Purdue, but I just don't like this team at all. They have a negative record. I don't think Grambling State is even going to beat Montana State to make it to the official field of 68 and get that 16 seed all to themselves. I don't like Grambling State at all as a team, but congrats to them on making their first ever NCAA tournament. Coming in here at number 67, we do have Wagner, another 16 seed that is in the play-in game. I just don't like Wagner at all either as a team. Just not much to say here. If they do get past Howard, which I definitely think is possible because here coming in here at number 66, we do have Howard. I mean, either one of these teams, you could flip-flop them. I don't think either of them are going to go far. I mean, I don't think either of them have a chance at North Carolina. It would be a huge shock, but even then, I don't think that they get past the round of 32, even if they pull off a miracle and beat North Carolina. Next up, coming in here at number 65, we do have Longwood. And Longwood, one of the better 16 seeds, I guess, but still not the best 16 seed. I still don't think that they have a very good chance. They're playing Houston. They get a really bad draw as far as trying to face a 1 seed in the first round. None of them are really good draws to have to face a 1 seed, but I just feel like Houston is just not going to lose to a 16 seed. They're the best defensive team in college basketball. A team like Longwood might not even put up 35 points on them. Next up, we do have Stetson. Now, Stetson does also have a horrible draw when they have to face UConn, but I do feel like Stetson is a better team, so I put them slightly above some of these other teams. They are my second highest ranked 16 seed and my top ranked 16 seed on this list. The most likely 16 seed that I think to win the national championship, it's never going to happen, but is Montana State. Now, Montana State is in the play-in game against Grambling State, but I think Grambling State is the worst team in the field of 68. So, I think Montana State beats Grambling State, and they also could potentially pull off a miracle against Purdue. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think any of these teams are going to be the 1 seed this year. It's only happened 2 times in the entire history of the NCAA tournament. But if anyone is going to do it, it could be Montana State. I think they might be the best 16 seed out there. So I have them coming in here at number 63. Coming in here at number 62, I do have, in my opinion, the worst 15 seed in the NCAA tournament this year, and that is St. Peter's. Now, I know we all like St. Peter's. They could pull off some magic, which is why I have them higher than some of these 16 seeds, but I actually did consider putting Montana State ahead of them. I don't think St. Peter's is that good this year. I think the committee gave them a 15 seed just to give them a shot at pulling off what they did back when they were a 15 seed just a couple of years ago and made it all the way to the Elite Eight. But they don't have Shaheen Holloway. They don't have Doug Eddard. They don't have any really of the players that they had or the coach that they had back a couple years ago when they made the Elite Eight. I just don't think St. Peter's is that good. I feel like they should be a 16 seed. I was surprised they got a 15. They're coming in here at 62. Coming in here at 61, we do have Long Beach State. Now, I do think that Long Beach State might have one of the better chances at pulling off a 15 over 2. Definitely a better chance than St. Peter's in my opinion. I just think I don't think Arizona loses to a 15 seed back-to-back years. That would be kind of crazy. And Long Beach State was a bid steal. You know, there were better teams in that league. Now, they did win that league tournament, so they do deserve to be here. I just don't think that they were the best team in that league. I don't think they're going to make too much noise at all here in March Madness. I got them coming in at 61. At number 60, I do have South Dakota State, another 15 seed. And we're kind of getting rid of a lot of these 16 and 15 seeds, but it will get mixed up here very, very shortly. South Dakota State, you know, they could cause some problems for Iowa State. You know, I'm not ruling that completely out, but Iowa State is coming into this tournament really hot. And a lot like Houston's draw with Longwood, I just think Iowa State is such a good defensive team. Defense is going to carry them in March Madness, is going to travel in March Madness, and I think Iowa State gets it done pretty easily. And now we have at 59 my top ranked 15 seed, and that is Western Kentucky. I think they may have the best chance to upset a 2 seed as they do face Marquette. I think Marquette is probably the worst 2 seed this season, and we saw Marquette lost early. They lost in the second round last year as a 2 seed. It is not out of the realm of possibility that Big Red could do some March Madness and pull off a crazy upset. Coming in here at 58, we have a little bit of a switch up, going from the 15 seeds to a 13 seed, actually lower than some of my 14 seeds, and that is Yale. I am not too high on Yale, even though they do have some decent players, a decent center in Danny Wolf, and they have some shooters as well. I just really don't see them making much noise in March Madness at all. I think that they got a pretty bad draw as well, as they do have to face Auburn in the first round, and I just don't see Yale being able to get it done. They should have lost to Brown. It was a miracle that they beat Brown in the Ivy League championship. I have Yale coming in here at 58. At number 57, I do have Morehead State of that same region as the 14 seed. They have to face Illinois. I don't really see them winning that one, but even if so, there are so many good teams in that East region. I feel like it's very top heavy. They're going to have to do a lot of work against teams like Iowa State, UConn, Illinois in the first round. If they get past Illinois, these are their other teams they're going to have to face down this road. Iowa State, UConn, and they also have teams like BYU that is dangerous, Auburn, San Diego State. That region is stacked, so some of these lower seeds are coming off the board pretty early here in that region. And that brings us to another seed in that region, and actually an 11 seed coming in here all the way down at 56, and that is Duquesne. I could not believe that Duquesne got an 11 seed in this tournament. I don't think Duquesne is that good at all. Yes, they did win the A10 conference, but they were sloppy in that. I really don't think Duquesne is going to make noise. I don't see them beating BYU, but even if so, I don't see them going further than the round of 32. That is going to be a very, very hard path for them in that East region. They are my lowest ranked 11 seed by a good margin. Coming in here at 55, I do have Oakland. Oakland is an interesting 14 seed here. I definitely was looking at them as a potential team to pull off an upset in March Madness, but I do think that they got a pretty hard draw, and I'm just not thinking Oakland is going to go very, very far. Coming here at 54, we do have another 14 seed in Vermont. Vermont's got a tough draw with Duke, but they have made the last couple of tournaments, and they are due to finally get a win. I just don't know if this year is going to be the year for Vermont. And that brings us to 53, a similar story to Vermont in Colgate, another 14 seed, another team that has been in the past, I think 4 March Madnesses now, if you count this one, and they are just never able to pull off the upset. And I do think if we do see a 14 over a 3, it might be Colgate over Baylor, but we do have one more 14 seed actually on this list, and that is coming in here at 52, Akron. Now, I do really like this Akron team. I do think Colgate has a better chance at upsetting Baylor than Akron does of pulling off the upset in the first round, but I did rank Akron higher just because I do believe that they are the best 14 seed on the board, just talent-wise. They have a couple of really good players on their team. I really like Enrique Freeman. I really like Ali. Akron is a good team. The MAC has made some magic happen in March before, so we'll see if the MAC bid in Akron can do some damage and shock the world against Creighton. I really wish Akron got a draw of Baylor in the first round. I 100% would be picking that. Next up, coming in here at 51, I do have Charleston. Now, I do think the College of Charleston could actually pull off an upset in the first round over Alabama. It is going to be an absolute track meet in that game, a ton of offense, but I just don't think this Charleston team is built to make a very, very deep run this season. but I do have them coming in here at 51. Coming in here at number 50, I do have my lowest ranked 12 seed, and that is UAB. And UAB, again, they just play in that stacked region. I actually do have them beating San Diego State in my bracket, but I just don't see them going much further than that. I don't see them beating San Diego State and a team like Auburn in the second round. And then even if they do get past them, beating UConn, I just don't see it happening. I have UAB coming in here at number 50. At 49, I have my first Power 6 conference team, and that, unfortunately, is the Colorado Buffaloes. I'm not too high on them. They have some good players, Tristan Da Silva, Eddie Lampkin, the freshman who is a really good NBA prospect, and Cody Williams, a really good passer. I just don't know if together as a team they are going to be able to put together enough wins. Plus, they are in the last 4 in games, so they're going to have to play an extra game. I just have Colorado pretty low. I don't see a lot of people having them go on a run or even winning that first game of March Madness to get to the round of 32. Not very high on Colorado. They're down here at 49. At 48, I do have Samford. Samford is interesting. I think that they got a really hard draw against Kansas, but it could actually be a good matchup for them. I do think that they could, smother Kansas, especially because Kansas does not have a lot of depth, and Samford plays very fast-paced, and they press. So if they can force a lot of turnovers, I think they could maybe get past Kansas, but I do think Samford, I think they are my top-ranked 13 seed actually on this list. I'm very high on them. I'm just not sure how far they could go after really the first round. Next up, we do have Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon coming in here at number 47 as a 12 seed. I could 100% see them beating St. Mary's, for sure. They have some really good players on this team, including Tyon Grant Foster, who is going to be a future NBA player. Grand Canyon, a very, very strong mid-major. That is why they're up here at 47. At 46, we have another really strong mid-major in McNeese. McNeese was a team that I thought could be my Cinderella pick this year. They're a very good shooting team, but they are also have a very good set offense that is not dependent on the three. I really do like Shahada Wells on this team, a veteran player who is really been taking off this year after coming off the bench last year for TCU. I like this McNeese team a lot. I just think they got a pretty tough draw there where they are at. Coming in here at number 45, I do have Texas A&M, and a lot of this kind of has to do with the fact that I just don't really trust Buzz Williams in March Madness to do all that much. I thought, with Tyrus Radford, with Henry Coleman, and of course with Wade Taylor, I just think they have some good players to potentially make a run. I just really don't trust Buzz Williams in March Madness. I trusted them last year, and they got beat up by Penn State really, really bad in the first round, and that was supposed to be a 50-50 type matchup. They got blown out. I just don't trust Texas A&M. They're down here at 45. At 44, I do have Virginia, and Virginia is a team that I really just don't think should have been in March Madness. I don't think they deserved to get a bid, and they are also in the last 4 in, so they're going to have to go from last 4 all the way to the Final Four national championship game. I just don't see that happening. They could, get streaky, especially with the defense they play. They have a really good defense, of course, but they're eventually going to meet their match. Even if they can get through a round, maybe 2, I just don't see Virginia going much further than that. Next up at number 43, I do have Boise State. Now, Boise State is a team that I think really did get screwed by the committee in this draw. There is no way they should be one of the last 4 teams in. They're as a 10 seed. But I do think they could get a couple wins. I think they're an underrated team. They're a really good team in the Mountain West. A lot of the Mountain West teams got screwed by the committee. And yeah, Boise State coming in here at 44. At number 43, I do have Colorado State, another Mountain West team here that is in the last 4 in games. Just similar reasons. They have to play an extra game and just a tough draw. Colorado State here at 42. At number 41, we do have Oregon. Now, Oregon is a team that might be heating up at the right time. Oregon got the bid steal. They are the Pac-12 champions, Pac-12 tournament champions for the last ever Pac-12 tournament, and they did get the bid. And like I said, they could just be heating up at the right time. And preseason, a lot of people thought Oregon was going to be a lot better than they were, so they could honestly do some damage. Like I said, heating up at the right time. You got to look out for teams like that. There we are at 41. At number 40, I do have Northwestern. I just think the injury to Ty Berry really does hurt Northwestern in this tournament. They could still do some damage, especially with Boo Buie at the point guard position. I just really don't see them being able to beat UConn if they do get past FAU in the first round. Next up at 39, I do have Nebraska. Now, Nebraska, a good team. I also don't really trust a lot of these Big Ten teams come March Madness time, but I do think Nebraska could possibly get a win in that first round against Texas A&M. I do have them ranked higher than Texas A&M. I just don't think that they match up very good with Houston at all. I think Houston defensively is going to smother them. It is going to be very hard for me to see them being able to pull off that upset. I have them here at 39. At 38, I do have another team on that 8-9 line, and that is TCU. TCU, a team that does have some pretty good guard play, and Emmanuel Miller is a player that took a big step up this year and could be a difference maker. I just don't see them going past like the Sweet 16. I think that's probably their ceiling this year. And they'd have to upset Purdue in the second round. I just don't know if TCU is the type of team that's built to upset Purdue. So for similar reasons, if they win in the first round, I just don't see them being able to pull off the upset in the second round. Next up, we do have at 37, NC State. Now, NC State is one of my favorite sleepers this year. Actually, an 11 seed that I have above some 10 seeds. I have above some 8 and 9 seeds. I really like NC State. As you guys know, if you guys seen my bracket predictions, I have them all the way in the Elite 8, actually. I'm a big DJ Burns fan. He is going to be so fun in March Madness. If NC State does make a run, so many people across the country that are just now tuning into college basketball for the first time this season are going to watch DJ Burns and be like, wow, he is awesome. And yeah, I love this NC State team to make a run. But as far as winning the whole national championship, I just don't see it happening. That is why they're down here at 37. At 36, I do have a mid-major that a lot of people, including myself, are pretty high on, and that is James Madison. I'm pretty high on them being able to pull off the upset over Wisconsin in that 12-5. But I do still have, Wisconsin a decent amount higher than James Madison, and that is just because Wisconsin was hot at times at the beginning of this year, and they were starting to heat up towards the end here in the Big Ten championship, in the Big Ten tournament, where they made it all the way to the championship game. So you do have to look out for Wisconsin, but I really do like James Madison in that 12-5, and they are one of the higher mid-majors on this list here for me. Coming in here at 35, I do have another mid-major that I do like a lot, and that is Drake. Drake is an awesome team. They are a great all-around team. Tucker DeVries is an absolute beast, and he is definitely a player that is definitely capable of taking over some March Madness games, and just all around as a team, this Drake team is built for March Madness. Great offensively, great defensively. They don't have a lot of holes. Drake is a team to look out for. Coming in here at 34, we do have Florida. And Florida is a team that, I could definitely see making a run from the 7 seed position. They did lose their starting center, which was a key shot blocker and defender for this team, in Micah Handleton. They lost him in the SEC championship game due to a pretty bad ankle injury that they needed a stretcher to bring him out on. So that kind of hurts Florida for me, but they have a lot of guard depth, a lot of really good guard play, and an awesome offense that could carry them through a round, maybe even 2, if they can upset Marquette in the second round. I could see that happening. I think I actually do have that in my bracket, but I don't know how much further I see them going than that, so I have them here at 34. At 33, I do have Mississippi State and another SEC team back-to-back, and Mississippi State is a team, they're going to have to upset North Carolina in the second round if they do get past Michigan State, where they do have to face Tom Izzo in March Madness. Now, I like this Mississippi State team a lot. I'm a big fan of Josh Hubbard, Tolu Smith. I really do like this team. I think Josh Hubbard is an underrated clutch player, and him versus Tyson Walker in the first round is an absolute treat. But I just don't see Mississippi State, if they do get past Michigan State, I just don't see them being able to beat North Carolina. I just don't think they match up well in that game. Coming in here at number 32, I do have Nevada. Another really good 7 seed like Florida. I could see them definitely making a run. They have an amazing backcourt in Jared Lucas, Keenan Blackshear. Definitely look out for them. They could pull off some magical stuff and potentially go on a little bit of a run. Next up at 31, I do have South Carolina. South Carolina is a team that has been pretty consistently good over the course of this season. I just don't know how much I really trust them. And yeah, I don't know how far I could see them going. Maybe they can surprise me, but I do have them, kind of in the middle of the road here. I guess technically above halfway here at 31, though. At number 30, I do have Washington State. Now, Washington State was a team that I was really high on probably about a month ago, and then they started to not play as good, and especially in the Pac-12 tournament, just did not look that great. And I think I was watching where they played Washington at home. It was their senior night. They lost that game, and I was just thinking, I don't think I'm as high on Washington State anymore. They are a very good, lengthy team. When they get hot, they are pretty good offensively. I just don't know if I even see them getting past Drake in the first round at this point. And if they do, I don't see them as a likely contender to upset a lot of teams after that, especially not Iowa State. I don't think they match up well with Iowa State in the second round. Coming in here at 29, I do have Texas Tech, the 6th seed, and Texas Tech is a team that I don't see a ton of people talking about as far as potentially making a run, but they are definitely capable of it. Remember the name Pop Isaacs. He is one of those three-point shooters that could just get hot and help his team get to the Sweet 16 and maybe even the Elite 8 and go on a run in the bottom half of that region. They really didn't get that bad of a draw, and if Pop Isaacs, Joe Toussaint start going crazy in that backcourt for Texas Tech, along with their crazy defense, yeah, I could see Texas Tech going on a little bit of a run. I got them here at 29. Coming in here at number 28, we have a team that I believe got very underseeded by the committee, and that is Utah State. This Aggies team, I saw a Utah State fan comment on one of my videos that they are 0-9 in the first round of March Madness. They need to get a win in the first round, and they need to face Purdue in the second round. And I really like this Utah State team. This is a league, the Mountain West, that got 6 teams into this tournament. Utah State was the best team all year long in that conference. So how did they only get an 8 seed? I think that they should have got a 6 seed or at least a 7, especially considering San Diego State got a 5. Very underseeded Utah State team. I think that they are a lot better than an 8 seed, and that is why they are much higher than some of the other 8 seeds here at 28. Coming in here at number 27, I do have the Texas Longhorns. This is a backcourt. You got to look for the backcourts that has a ton of experience. Tyrese Hunter, Max Abmas. You guys all know Max Abmas. That's right. He is on a Power 6 school now in Texas, and he is back in March Madness, and he is not in a horrible spot for Texas to be able to potentially make a run. If they can get past the first round and they can get past the second round in Tennessee, which I don't think is that impossible, look out, Texas could go on a run. Coming up next at 26, I do have FAU. FAU is an interesting team where I do believe that I think they win that first round matchup there against Northwestern, and they might have potential to upset UConn. It is a long shot, but if they can get past UConn, this is a team that brought back everybody from that Final Four team a year ago. If they can get past UConn, look out. I don't know who they can't beat if they get past them. That is why I have FAU so high. Here at 25, I do have another mid-major in Dayton. The Dayton Flyers are a team that I think are not in a bad spot whatsoever at a 7 seed. If they can get past Nevada in the first round, they get the draw of Arizona in the second round. I don't think that is necessarily a bad draw, considering Arizona has been a top seed over the past couple of March Madnesses, lost in the Sweet 16 and then lost in the first round last year. So to think that they could lose in the second round this year, definitely not out of the realm of possibility. I think Dayton could definitely go on a run, especially with Darren Holmes and some of these good shooters at the guard positions that they have. Coming in here at number 24, we do have Clemson, and you guys are going to start to see a little bit of a trend over the next few picks where I really do think in this West region there are a lot of really good mid-majors and a lot of upsets could happen, causing some chaos and giving some of these higher seeds in that region a better chance than you might think. And that is why I have Dayton so high. That is why I have Clemson here so high and some of these next upcoming teams. I think Clemson could make a run from that 6 seed spot, especially if they can get past New Mexico and then Baylor. They could make some noise. This Clemson team has some experience. PJ Hall is a bucket. And yeah, look out for the Tigers. Coming in here at 23, I do have a pretty high 11 seed here, and that is actually the New Mexico Lobos, all the way up here at 23. And New Mexico just won the Mountain West Championship, and somehow are still only an 11 seed. The fact that they're on the same line as Duquesne is just disgusting. The Mountain West, I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again, got very screwed by the committee when they made this bracket. But I still think New Mexico not in a bad spot. I think if they get past Clemson, they match up against Baylor wonderfully. And if somebody takes out Arizona down low, they could be riding into the Elite Eight for sure. I like New Mexico as one of my top Cinderella picks this year. That is why they're coming up here at 23. At number 22, we do have the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Gonzaga as a 5 seed is interesting. I did think that they got overseeded, but Mark Few is always capable of making a run in March Madness, and he does have a very good veteran point guard in Ryan Nembhard and an amazing front court. One of the most underrated front courts in college basketball. We're there with Antoine Watson, Ben Gregg, and of course, the best player in their front court, Graham Ike. So look out for the Zags. At 21, I do have Wisconsin, another 5 seed, and I do really like James Madison to beat them, but this Wisconsin team is very good. They are another team that has a very good front court. Stephen Crow, Tyler Wall, and then A.J. Storr is a stud, and they got a veteran presence with Chucky. I just look out for this Wisconsin team. If they do survive James Madison, I don't see a lot of people talking about them, but they could make a run if they get past them. Coming in here at number 20, I do have another 5 seed, third in a row, and that is St. Mary's. I think St. Mary's not in a horrible spot. I definitely can see Grand Canyon being able to pull that upset, but St. Mary's just plays the type of defense, controls the pace of the game, where if they can, stick to that with some good matchups and be able to execute, they could go on a deep run, and I could see them potentially coming out of that region. I just don't know if I necessarily trust St. Mary's and Randy Bennett in the NCAA tournament to go much further than like the Sweet 16, just because they always seem like that team that could do it, but then just never do. So that is why I cannot put them above number 20. At number 19, we do have a little bit of a surprise, but along with New Mexico, Clemson, Dayton, this West region, a lot of chaos could happen, and that is why I do have at 19 Michigan State. And I know you guys are going to be like, okay, can we get off the Michigan State train? They are not playing good, and I agree with you. They have not been playing good, and I don't even necessarily think that they should have made the March Madness tournament. Whenever I was watching Selection Sunday on my live stream, I was saying Michigan State is going to be one of the last 4 teams in. I think that they should have to play in the play-in game. But they wind up there on the 8-9 line. They get a 9 seed. And that is very generous for Tom Izzo in March Madness, and it would not surprise me if Tom Izzo just comes out of nowhere and is able to go on a run. I couldn't put them much higher than 19, but I could definitely see them potentially upsetting North Carolina in the second round and going on a little bit of a run just because Tom Izzo in March is just so damn good. But yeah, they are coming in here at 19, even though I do think they are way overseeded and should have been one of the last four in. Next up, coming in here at 18, we do have BYU. This BYU team is just very deep. They have a good front court. They have one of the best passing big men in college basketball, and they have amazing guards and amazing depth and multiple players. I think 4 or 5 players shoot over 40% from behind the arc for this BYU team. Look out for them as a sleeper 6 seed. Next up at number 17, I do have the Alabama Crimson Tide, another team that just has a ton of offense, but Alabama just doesn't have enough defense for me to trust them to put them much higher than 17, so that's why the Tide are coming in right here. At number 16, I do have the Baylor Bears, the 3 seed here in that same region, and I just don't know how far I see Baylor going. I think if they get matched up against a team with a pretty good big man, a JT Toppin on New Mexico, along with guards that can match Baylor's elite guard play, I think that they could go out by the Sweet 16. But I could also see Baylor potentially shocking the world, even as a 3 seed. Not a lot of people are expecting them to maybe come out of that region. So I think it would shock a lot of people if they were able to make the Final Four, but I don't think it is necessarily impossible. If they do make it to the Sweet 16, I think that they could honestly go all the way to the Final Four if they can get past New Mexico or Clemson. Next up at number 15, I do have my final 5 seed, and that is San Diego State. Can't overlook the San Diego State team too much because they were just in the national championship game last year, and they are bringing back a lot of those players, and Jaden Ledee has improved a ton since then and looks amazing. And they also just play that type of basketball, defensive, gritty. They can definitely line up and win some games, and they are a 5 seed again, just like they were last year. Who knows, maybe they can do it again. Next up, coming in here at number 14, I do have the Kansas Jayhawks. And Kansas, they are a very good team, but I don't think that they can win the national championship with that depth. Like I said earlier, my top 9 teams on this list are teams that I legitimately think it is possible for them to win the national championship. Kansas is not on that list. They are here at number 14. Just not enough depth on that team. I do think they could make a run. I don't think they can win it all. Next up at number 13, I do have the Auburn Tigers, and Auburn, just one of those teams. They are probably going to make the Sweet 16 or definitely getting past the first round, and Yale, I think whenever they meet a really good team, a team that is better than them, like a UConn in the Sweet 16, I don't give them much chance. They play a tough brand of basketball, defensive, and they do have some scorers as well, but every time they play another quad 1 team, it just seems like they can't get the job done. So I can't trust Auburn to be in the top 10 of this list. Next up at number 12, I do have Illinois. Illinois has been on fire recently. They have been coming back from games, and they have an awesome offense and some awesome star power with Terrence Shannon Jr. and Marcus Domask. I just don't know if I can trust Brad Underwood or some of these Big Ten teams to make a run. They are just outside of my top 9, my legit contenders here at number 12. At number 11, I do have Marquette, a 2 seed, actually not in the top 10. I just don't see Marquette being able to win the national championship. I think they are kind of similar to Auburn in a fashion where I do believe that they play the top of the top teams. They are just not going to be able to get it done. I think I could see Marquette potentially making the Final Four if somebody else takes out Houston, but if they do have to play Houston, I don't think they win that game, and I think honestly they lose by the Sweet 16. But I think Elite 8 might be Marquette's ceiling. If somebody takes out Houston in that region, maybe Final Four is their ceiling. Next up, coming in at number 10, and the last team on this list that I think is not one of my legit contenders, and that is actually another 2 seed, and it is the Tennessee Volunteers. I do think this Tennessee team could potentially make a run, and actually in my bracket, due to some upsets that I did have, Tennessee was able to get some good matchups and make it to the Final Four in my bracket, but it is going to be very tough. It is going to be very tough against teams like Creighton and Purdue in that region. I just don't necessarily think Tennessee. I think they could beat Creighton, but it is tough. I lean Creighton in that in most situations, but it is very 50-50. I don't think Tennessee can beat Purdue. I think Dalton Knecht could carry them on a run. That is why they are in the top 10, but I don't think Tennessee can win the national championship, especially because, like coaches I've mentioned before, Rick Barnes is to not be trusted in March Madness. I think he could finally make a run, but no way they win the national championship. So now we are at my top 9 teams, and these are who I consider actually have a decent shot at winning the national championship. And yeah, let's get into it. Coming in here at number 9, I do have them as a contender, but my lowest ranked contender, that is the Duke Blue Devils. And they are a 4 seed, but I look at this team, I think, wow, Duke has some good freshmen. They also have some good veterans on this team, and some stars, and some depth, and they could be a good shooting team when they're on. Like, this Duke team, if they are playing to the best of their capabilities with Cal Filipowski, Tyrese Proctor, Jared McCain, and the veteran Jeremy Roach, the big man Mark Mitchell, they could do it. And I don't necessarily know if I see it, but I think it's possible if they get the right upsets, if they get the right matchups throughout the tournament, that Duke could do it. They are my lowest ranked contender here at number 9. At number 8, I do have Iowa State. Iowa State is a 2 seed that I think could potentially make it all the way to like the national championship game. I think I struggle to see them being able to win it all, but it does depend on matchups. And if they play a game like they did in the Big 12 championship game against one of the top teams in the country in Houston, they beat them by 30. And I think you have to have Iowa State as a contender. They do have a very good defensive team, a very good team that passes the ball. Anyone can score. They have a good backcourt in Taman Lipsey and Keshawn Gilbert. Don't overlook this Iowa State team. They are dangerous. Coming in here at number 7, I do have Arizona, and Arizona is a team that has consistently, been struggling against teams that they should beat. But before they got into Pac-12 play this year, in the non-con, they were playing amazing. Their only real bad non-con loss was to FAU, and I just think this Arizona team, when they play the best of the best teams, they play their absolute best ball. So if they can survive the first couple rounds, make it to like the Elite 8, I could see Arizona playing against the top teams in the country and going all the way. I have them here at 7. Going from Wildcat to Wildcat, coming in here at number 6, I do have the Kentucky Wildcats, and I think that this is maybe the best offensive team in the country. The only problem is they do not play defense at all, which is why I almost considered not putting them in my contenders spot on this list. But I think they have a lot of depth on this team, a lot of scorers, and some clutch players. Reed Shepard, Antonio Reeves, Rob Dillingham, DJ Wagner, like so many good guards, and Trey Mitchell, Antonio Reeves are the veterans on this team. And this could be the year Kentucky finally does it. Now, do I necessarily think it's going to happen? Probably not. I think that their bad defense is going to catch up to them at some point in this tournament, and it could be as early as the second round. But I do see a world where it is possible Kentucky does do it, so they are coming in here at number 6. Coming in here at number 5, I do have actually a 3 seed, and this is the Creighton Blue Jays in the top 5. I really like this Creighton team. Now, I do think they don't have a lot of depth, but they didn't last year, and last year they were able to make the Elite 8. And I do think they do have slightly better depth than they did last year. Stephen Ashworth, Trey Alexander, a great backcourt. They have a great rim protecting center in Ryan Cockburner that can also score in the post. And Baylor Shireman is one of those players that could just take over March Madness as well at the small forward position. They have a lot of keys that I look at as far as a team that could potentially do it all, but a lot like teams like Iowa State, Kentucky, Duke, I think that they would need the right matchups, maybe some upsets to happen in other parts of the bracket to potentially win it all, but I do think the potential is there for them. Now, coming in here at number 4, you guys probably know who the top 4 are. They are all the number 1 seeds, but it is hard to not see one of these 1 seeds to not win the national championship this year. I'm not going to lie, all 4 of these 1 seeds seem very strong this year, and I would be pleasantly surprised if one of them did not win the championship, but I think one of them will. And at number 4, I do have the North Carolina Tar Heels. I think that a lot of chaos could happen in their region, and I think that they might have the hardest second round matchup of any 1 seed because they'll have to face either Michigan State or Mississippi State. Both very, very strong seeds there. Mostly Mississippi State is a strong seed, but Michigan State just because they have Tom Izzo and they do have a lot of talent. The talent didn't perform this year, so maybe it just will start performing here in March Madness. So I do think North Carolina did get a tough draw on that, but that's kind of what you expect. They are the 4th overall 1 seed, so they should get the hardest draw. But I do have them coming in here at number 4. But RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, veteran players that have been to a national championship game before. They want to get back. They've added transfers like Cormac Ryan, Harrison Ingram that have been amazing players for them this season. North Carolina definitely can win the championship this year. Coming in here at number 3, I do have the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, it is very hard for me to have Purdue here at number 3 and trust them to win the national championship, but you cannot deny. I mean, even though they have lost to a double-digit seed the past 3 tournaments, they lost to North Texas, St. Peter's, and FDU the past 3 years, you cannot overlook them just because they brought everybody back from that team. They could pull a 2019 Virginia and go ahead and lose to a 16 seed and win the entire dang tournament the following year. They added a piece in Lance Jones that I think is a huge energy guy for them, a guy that can shoot and make a 3 when they do need a bucket, create his own basket. I think that is key to have a guy that can not only create his own basket on this Purdue team other than Zach Edey, but can also knock down a big shot and play energy and play defense and be that energy guy for this team. I think Purdue desperately needed that, and that could be the key piece that takes them all the way to the Natty. Next up, coming in here at number 2, I do have the Houston Cougars, and Houston, the best defense in college basketball. They had 30 wins in the best conference in college basketball in the Big 12 Conference. That is insane, and I don't hear a lot of people praising them for that, but I think they deserve a ton of praise for it. And yeah, Houston, veteran point guard in Jamal Shedd, a great 3-and-D shooter in LJ Cryer. You got just so many great defenders on this team. If one thing I think could hurt Houston is them not having great shooters in the front court, being able to stretch the floor that way, but this defense and these guards can definitely carry them to a national championship. They are more than capable of doing so. This could finally be Houston's year. Coming in here at number 1, you guys know who it is. A ton of people have been picking UConn to win their national championship in their brackets, including myself. I just believe UConn is the best team. I think that they are going to be the first back-to-back champions since Billy Donovan's Florida team did it back in 06 and 07. I think that it is finally going to happen again, and they are finally going to break that curse where the defending national champion loses in the first 2 rounds for like the past 5 or 6 years. I think UConn is going to break that. I think they're going to go at least to the Sweet 16, but I think that they have the best odds and the best chances to win the national championship this year. Dan Hurley just has the best set offense in college basketball. Their guards have so much stamina. You have to chase their guards around. You're going to get tired, and they can shoot off the catch at any point in the possession and knock it down. They have a stretch floor veteran in Alex Caravan. They have a veteran point guard in Tristan Newton, who has been even better as a playmaker this year, considering how good he was as a playmaker last year. That is insane to say. And they have a big 7-footer in Donovan Clingan who can score in the post. So, and they have a lot of depth again as well. Do they have as much depth as they did last year? No, but they were like a legit 10-man deep team last year. So you don't expect them to be 10-man deep again. I think that they are still a pretty deep team as well. UConn for sure my number one contender to win the national championship this year. So let me know what you guys think about this list. I know that this is very opinion-based list to rank all these teams. So let me know what you guys think. Who should be higher? Who should be lower? Down below in the comment section. Make sure you guys subscribe for more college basketball content. And you guys, thank you so much for watching.